Imagine that you are at your home just chilling and suddenly you are feeling very hungry. You go towards the fridge, open the door, look around and the fridge turns out to be completely empty. You keep looking and in the dark, in the very back of the fridge, you notice the only one, the last pack of yogurt or whatever. You grab that in your hand and you notice that it is already 1 week after the expiration date. Now you have a dilemma. You can just put it back in the fridge or throw it into the trash, deciding that it shouldn't be eaten, but then you will still be hungry and the voice in your head will start saying that you made a wrong decision and you will start having regrets, or you can eat it and risk having a diarrhea. This is how I feel about making this video. Does anyone still even remember when the Rally Discovery campaign was released? It was a long time ago. In the meantime we have received the Desert campaign, the Stunt mode and the Platform mode. Why would anyone still think about Rally Car at this point? Well, I promised that I will make one more video, the video you are watching right now, about a Rally Discovery campaign, but in reverse. Meaning that the start block and the finish block are swapped, just like usually on this type of challenges. There's probably a bunch of less forgotten things to show right now. The rally car has already been in the back of the fridge for a while, it's covered in mold and it's probably best left out there, but let's still try to enjoy the runs that were driven on these maps. I mean, they are good and the maps are not even that bad. To be fair, it's mostly driven with stadium car anyway, because rally car changing gates are usually placed right at the start, which is the finish on these tracks. The issue is that I have to convince my viewers that you can scrape the mold out of it and still consume the tasty yogurt after all these months that have passed. Here, for example, we have one of the hardest tracks of the campaign. We already had a lot of hill climbing and we will have some more in front of us, all because of this nasty start placement. And all of this is just to get back onto the main part of the track, because once you are there, finishing the track becomes trivial. I am speeding up a big portion of this record because mostly it's just very slow driving or very slow climbing, but you can still see which tricks have to be done, and it's probably easy to tell that it's a difficult thing to do. Well, the difficult part is almost over as we are about to enter the track, ironically, while also crossing the start ring again. If only this was a regular start block and not the ring one, it would instantly become a cakewalk. There is not much more that can go wrong here, just stick to the road and try not to crash into any of the walls. The map only has 2 finishers and what's interesting, they both used a different way to return to the castle walls. Of course, I always love to showcase interesting approaches to beating the maps, so we will briefly look at the highlights of Bedside's run as well. The start is pretty similar, as the only way to escape the starting area is by climbing the grassy hills in that one specific spot. Instead of staying in the map area, Bedside decided to drop to the stadium level and go for a stadium roof climb. Getting onto one of the beams on top of it and gathering some speed lets you drop back to the map in a different area. This skips some of the hill climbing, so if you are not a fan of these sort of techniques, you have an alternative. Once you safely land back among the hills, you just have to drive towards the same spot that was used on previous run. Then similarly, you can jump through the start ring and land on the castle walls. Sadly, none of the approaches to beating this map is even remotely easy, and for both of them you first have to conquer the pool escape and a couple of hill climbs at the start. So big respect to the finishers for actually deciding to attempt that. Also, the map had been validated by AR first and then finished again after the campaign has been published, so that's even more impressive. And while we are talking about impressive things, we have another really difficult map that also has only been finished by a few people. This one was validated by Dragon and his validation run actually managed to stay in top 3. This is another case of start placement being really annoying, and all of the difficulty comes from finding a way to return to the map's main path. Fortunately, it's not a Dragon Eat track or a stadium climb, but probably the third most annoying thing you have to do to finish hard challenges, a wall bounce. These are super inconsistent and for every attempt you have to build up a lot of speed, which obviously takes time. But in exchange you get a pretty powerful tool that lets you jump up quite high, without having any ramps on the ground level. The wall bounce is the only difficult part of the track, rest is just all about not crashing anywhere, which to be fair is kinda difficult as well if you want to drive fast. but if you take it safe, there are no other problems. Here we can also have a look at the bounces from the rest of the top 3. It's a difficult trick, so it's worth getting some extra spotlight. Here we also have the record from Dragon, and the interesting thing here is that he used a different spot for the trick. Here the car had to squeeze itself between the wall and the road, so I guess the other way might be a bit easier to get properly. Moving to the next map, here we have Night Watch, and this one has a pretty cool start trick. The scenery piece is placed perfectly to let you get the height to get to the castle road. Maybe it's not the smoothest transition, but it's great that it works. The rest of the track is just all about driving without making mistakes, and we do see a couple of unintentional wall crashes by the drivers. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of driving on these roads, just solely because of how easy it is to misjudge a corner and touch the walls by accident, and that usually just kills the run. This track is slowly coming to an end, and we are hopping onto the next one called New Slopes, and this one turned out to be a bit bizarre. Shortly after the start you collect the reactor boost, and then you have way too much speed for everything until it runs out. So you have to balance your acceleration to avoid flying out of the roads. The second part of the track is a bit more standard. Your time highly depends on how much speed you carried from the previous section, and then you just have to make sure to not waste it with shaky movements with the rally car. Yeah, occasionally there is a bit of rally car driving here and there. There will even be a bit of snow car driving in one of the later maps, but mostly it's just stadium over and over. While building the Snow Discovery reverse versions, I was actually contemplating that maybe swapping the start and finish together with the car transformation gates is the right thing to do. That way, Rally Discovery reverse campaign would actually be still based around the rally car, but then again, the rule is to only swap the start and the finish, and doing just that is what we see right now. Transformation gates are a part of a separate set of blocks, so they are not touched at all on those remixes. Anyway, we are currently on a map Rally C1 Reloaded, which is a remake of a rally track from Trackmania United Forever campaign. In TMUF it was the first blue track, but here it's map number 9. They could have placed it as map number 11, it would make a bit more sense that way, but to be honest, who cares about it? We also don't care about this map, as it's a multi-lap, so there is no finish and start blocks that we can swap together. There is just one unified multi-lap block. These were the first 10 tracks, and now we are watching map number 11 called Rally? Just looking at the times, we can already tell that it will not be a straightforward track where you just have to drive good lines and avoid crashing. So far we just had some simple bobsleigh turns, now approaching the icy wall ride, and shortly behind that we have our first problem, a drop down that does not work very smoothly when driving it in a wrong direction. If you clip the top of the wall on the landing, it can push you towards the road, and this way you can continue driving after just a small predicament. This is not everything yet, as AR decided to go for a shortcut with the reactor boost directly towards the finish line, skipping the last few bobsleigh turns. I've decided to also give you one more point of view, just to show that doing that ending shortcut was not even necessary to be on the podium here, and even in the second place. We can see that AR was far in front even without doing the cut, so his run was just on another level anyway. The last few turns are also really quick with the reactor boost, so it was not even obvious that the shortcut will be worth going for. Jumping to the next map, we are back on the dirt castle walls. There are quite a bunch of them in this campaign, as I think they were added to the game on the same update as the rally car. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was the case. The map itself is not very difficult to finish, but surely not easy to master either, as with the reversed driving direction we often have to face a lot of unusual turn setups or transitions. The map is soon about to end and all three drivers are really close to each other, so it seems like this map has been pretty optimized. Great job by the players, and now we move to the map that has a terribly annoying start. You have to cross the anti-booster with really low speed, and the best way to do that is to drive forward, hold brake and tap right and left. But as you can see, the outcomes can be very different. It's pretty difficult to win the time back on the rest of the map if you had a poor start, because it's mainly textile with a bunch of drift turns, so without a good start there is no point in driving the rest most of the time. Here we had Aikoko with the best start, and that lead has been kept all the way to the end. The next map, Trackmania. Here I have actually had quite a big input in improving the path that the world record uses, but eventually I was left behind better players and I'm not even on podium anymore, but I think at some point I might have been first there. This is also one of the rare occasions that we can see a snow car on the Rally Discovery campaign. It has been on the screen for the entire 6 seconds, so that's not much, but if you want to see more, I have also made videos about snow discovery campaigns in reverse and checkpointless versions. You should actually pick the checkpointless one if you want to see the snow car. Reverse is mostly played with stadium car, just like on Rally Discovery. Focusing back on our map, we have just managed to reach the finish, but that's not the end, as there are still some checkpoints that have to be collected. Actually, now they have all been collected, so we can use the same way to climb to the finish again. You can use a little trick to get extra grip on the uphill by hanging your wheels from the side. Looks silly, but that's actually the fastest way to do that. Now we are moving to the next track called Deep Ease, which starts in a pretty weird position. Luckily it was possible to drop directly back to the track, and conveniently there is also a reactor booster nearby. It helps with building up speed quickly, and in general being able to reach a reactor boost somewhere strongly increases your chances of being able to finish a track. Because in the worst case you can just fly to a completely different area. Here, however, it is not necessary, as this map works pretty well by just following the reverse driving direction. Now we are moving to the map Classic Rally, with not so classic trick at the start and with no rally car in sight. iTeach got this start really well and now has a comfortable lead over the other drivers right after the start. It will be much harder to win that time back on the rest of the track, as it will be just mostly all about these narrow dirt roads again. Well, I don't really have much to say about this map in general, so maybe I will go a bit off topic and just talk about the current state of the game. After not so successful launch of the stunt mode, we were waiting 3 months for another update, hoping that maybe they will rework it and it will be more fun to play. They actually did listen to the community and fixed a lot of things, but I somehow feel like nobody is interested in trying the stunt mode again. It's kinda hard to say because NoDerivs was supposed to release a new stunt campaign, or rather the same campaign but with updated medal scores, but they did not do that for some reason, so it's hard to see how many people decided to return to try this mode again. They have also implemented an online mode for stunts. I tried to find a server with some stunt maps and I found one, but it was empty and there were some weird bugs there where it would sometimes not take your score for the leaderboards, but instead it would take the time and convert it into some huge number. Weird. Anyway, that's kinda sad, as it feels like the mode will just stay completely dead. There was no marketing behind the rework, so probably a lot of people did not even realize that something has changed. I will probably stay away from it, and I doubt that it will change, unless maybe they start hosting some stunt mode Cup of the Days, then maybe I will try to compete, but otherwise, no thanks. We have also received a platform mode, which is another mode taken from Trackmania United Forever, and it's fine, but it feels a bit unnecessary. It's a thing you try out once and forget about it, because the goal of platform mode is to finish a track with 0 respawns. And if you do that, there is no reason to ever try that map again. There are no leaderboards for fastest completions, which is a big mistake. People actually have to make their own versions of platform maps in race mode just to squeeze some more fun out of it. A lot of people also complained that the platform maps in the campaign are too easy, and that was true for the first 5 maps they released, because you could probably beat them in 5 minutes and then you would not have anything to do. But later maps actually are more challenging and that's more fun to try. It kinda went even a bit too far, as some of the maps in the 4th set of 5 maps they added are just far more difficult than any of the ones they built before. The next week they will post 5 more tracks, which will probably be even harder, and that will be the entire campaign. There is a high chance that this will be the last time you will hear about the platform mode, because if someone wants to build a difficult map, they will most likely build it in a race mode anyway, and NoDerivs themselves will probably not put any effort in keeping that mode alive, somehow. They clearly are trying to migrate all the things they had in old games into the new Trackmania title, and if they keep on adding old game modes, that could mean that the puzzle mode might be next, and that's probably my favorite one right next to the stunt mode. However, they completely butchered stunt mode, so I will just be praying that it will not happen to puzzle mode when they actually decide to release it. Really cool Dragon Eat run right here from AR, by the way. I hope you don't mind me not focusing on the runs too much, but that's just a good occasion to maybe start some sort of discussion. You can listen to my rambling, maybe form your own perspective on some things, and in the same time you can just watch really good records in the background. I have to admit that I'm feeling very burnt out in Trackmania recently. There are several reasons for that. First of all, I had huge hopes related to stunt mode and got very disappointed in the end. Now completely not touching it at all. Second of all, I kinda got bored of doing these checkpointless and reverse challenges. Some of the maps are fun to play, but it doesn't feel special to me anymore after all these seasons. I could as well just play random maps with weird tricks and it would feel similar. Now after a while I'm very glad I've decided to take a break from making these videos because they did not really spark any emotions in me anymore. And I'm not even playing the regular campaigns, I'm just not motivated at all to try them, it's just not interesting to me. Another reason why I'm not really playing much Trackmania lately is just that I have more fun playing other games. I do a lot of single player games and I really enjoy achievement hunting, and I'm also playing a lot of Bloons Tower Defense 6 recently, and I started doing some hard challenges in that game. It kinda gives me the same feeling as I had in Trackmania years ago, when I was finding new Nadio cuts. Now I just find smart ways to do challenges in that game instead, and got pretty addicted to that. Trackmania is still in the back of my head all the time, and I would still love to do a lot of cool things in this game, as I have a long list of ideas for cool content, but I'm a bit unmotivated as other things just feel more fun at this moment. After this video is released, my plan is to host another mapping competition as a special for passing the 14,000 and 15,000 subscribers milestone, and that will probably be a lot of fun to see what people come up with, as always. I have not fully decided what will be the theme of that competition. I have few ideas, but I'm not fully convinced about any of them, so you can also post some suggestions in the comments and maybe you will have an idea that has not ever crossed my mind before. Other than that, I'm not sure what's coming next. I would really love to focus on just doing big video projects like one of my recent videos, Things Never Seen Before in Trackmania, because these types of videos give me the most fun to make, and also judging by the statistics and viewers reception, it is also the most liked type of content by my subscribers and also by people that visit my channel for the first time. They also take a lot of work to make, so that's why I'd prefer to stop doing all the other smaller projects like reverse and checkpointless videos, and then I would just focus on producing high quality creative stuff. Obviously these are just plans and you can never know how things change. Maybe I will fall in love with yet another game and will lose motivation to do Trackmania stuff even more, or maybe I will get some sort of motivational boost to make some sort of fun project in Trackmania. What's sure is that I want to keep on making content here, and I don't want to make bigger breaks without working on something. Ever since I got the channel membership enabled for my channel, I'm feeling like I kind of owe my viewers something in exchange for their support. Maybe it's not the right mindset, but I'd feel bad if someone was giving me their money because they like what I do, and then I would be just too lazy to keep on making new videos. So maybe the videos have been a bit less frequent recently, but I'm working on something all the time, just a bit slower than previously, and whenever I feel like I'm not forcing myself to do that. I have not received any complaints yet, but I'd rather prefer to keep it that way, so yeah, get to work Edge, start making content. And this video is hopefully a start to a snowball that will keep me rolling. Well, we are slowly getting closer to the end of this video. This is another track that uses the snow car, so despite the fact that rally car barely gets any spotlight here, it has to share it with snow car even more. I believe this is also one of the tracks where I don't even have an author medal, because rally car with keyboard is just not fun to play and I don't like using action keys. I think this was also the first big campaign where I have decided that I just don't care, I don't need to hunt for all the author medals. Usually my routine was that I first played the regular campaign and beat all of the author medals, and then I would start building the remixed versions, but here it just wasn't fun, so I jumped straight to building checkpointless maps. Oh look, here I even managed to get top 2. Sadly it got destroyed by Granadi, but I'm not even sad about it. I knew my run wasn't the greatest and I'm actually surprised that it even stayed in the podium. Maybe high-speed wood driving with stadium car is just not what people like to drive. To me personally, it is pretty satisfying. This is also so much more fun to drive than the original map, because here you don't have to deal with the rally car. What's funny is that I remember in my early days in Trackmania United Forever, rally used to be my favorite environment, and now it's probably my least favorite, so sorry, but no love for rally car in this video. And now we have arrived to the last track of the campaign, which is a 3 minutes long monster, and I just don't know what else I can say about this track. Most of it is just played normally. First you try to reach any area near the usual start of the map, then you just drive everything like you would usually do, and when you are back in the area where you started, you just do the same thing, but now go into the finish. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, I think it might be a bit confusing. Anyway, I don't know what else I could be saying, so I will just pick a random Wikipedia article and just start reading it to not leave you in silence. So yeah, Brachytron is a monotypic genus of European dragonfly of the family Aeschynidae, containing the hairy dragonfly Brachytron pratense, also known as the hairy hawker or spring hawker. It is found in Europe and Asia Minor as far east as the Caspian Sea, with a typical length of around 5.5 centimeters (2.2 inches). It resides close to water bodies containing plants and has a flight season running from May to July. The hairy dragonfly is named for its hairy thorax, distinguishing it from other hawkers. It has a long, narrow pterostigma, the colored sclerotized patch on the outer region of each wing. The anthumeral stripes are usually thin and green. The hairy dragonfly has coupled oval-shaped markings on its abdomen, blue on males and yellow on females. It is smaller than other species in the genus Aeschyna. It is the United Kingdom's smallest hawker. The hairy dragonfly lives in ponds, lakes, fens, ditches and canals rich in vegetation. Some plants that grow there include the common clubrush, common reed, great fen, sedge and true bulrush. This dragonfly requires open and sunny areas with dense vegetation for protection. Here they are able to feed on flying insects, shelter and grow sexually mature. Although it is common species, it is susceptible to uncongenial ditch management and poor water conditions. This is the reason the species disappeared for a few years, only to return recently. More so than its other relatives, the hairy dragonfly will only fly in sunshine and will hastily retreat if the sun happens to go in. Like typical hawkers, the hairy dragonfly preys in mid-air on flying insects. It then carries its food to a suitable perch where it is able to eat and digest. The hairy dragonfly's flight period is short and early, beginning in mid-May and ending in mid-July. Dead vegetation and living stems growing in the water, close to the water's edge, provide a home for the eggs. 2 years later, larvae how do you read that word? Larvae emerge by scaling plant stems just above the surface of the water, or possibly crawling inland for about a meter where they have room to spread their wings. Oh my god, okay, these are the last turns of the track. I would like to thank everyone for playing the maps and thank everyone for watching the video to the end. Here I will show you the leaderboards, which might not be very accurate as I took the screenshot just now when editing the video, but I downloaded the records already a few months ago. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it if you subscribe or even become a channel member. If you decide to do that, you will get a special mention at the end of the video, just like these amazing people right here. This is everything for now, see you later, have a nice day, goodbye!